Alright, so in this video I wanted to talk about a manga series called Dead Rock. Here it is. I've only read the first volume. I know the second volume is out now, I believe. So it's by Hiro Mashima. And this is the same author that wrote both Fairy Tail and Eden Zero, and then he has another one, but I don't remember what that one was called. So there might be some spoilers in this video for any of those series. I have not finished Eden Zero though, so although I do like I like that shit. I like that manga a lot. So yeah, I mean and Fairy Tail gets kind of a bad rap for some people. I mean, I watched it when I was in like junior high, so and I liked it a lot back in those days, even though I do understand that a lot of people consider it to be kind of a mid-anime, which is kind of true, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. So yeah, but today we're mainly going to be talking about Dead Rock and some spoilers there. I will say though, before we get started, that Hiro Mashima is just he's a great what are they called, mangakas? I mean, because to me anyways, his stories are consistently good, and then like it seems like as soon as he finishes one series he moves on, immediately jumps into another one, which is just crazy and very enjoyable. The art style is also pretty good. I like his art. So I mean, yeah, that's it for that one. And then we'll get into the spoiler territory now. A little background on, I'm probably just going to talk about kind of just what's in this first volume, which is only like 3 chapters, which is very different to the normal. I think most manga are like around 10-ish chapters in a volume. This one only has 3 in it, so yeah, I think One Piece has 10 in a volume. But yeah, like I said, this one only has 3. So a little background on this is that we follow our main character right here. It's on the cover right here, and his name is Yakuto, I think. And he is in the first chapter. He's fairly a goofy guy, like many of Mashima's main characters, like Natsu and Shiki, I think is what the Eden Zero's protagonist's name was. So at the start he's very goofy, and that's like in chapter 1. Now things change very quickly in the next chapter, where he murders his homeroom teacher just like on the first day of school, completely normal. Little background. Okay, first of all, concept is that he's getting into this demon school called Dead Rock. It's the title of the manga. So he wants to get into the demon school to kill the principal of the school, which is called God, whose name is God. I think that's his actual name, and not, well, it could be a title, I suppose, that he gave to himself. And then he wants to kill God, and Yukito wants to kill God, and I said Yakuto wants to kill God and restore, and put a demon king in charge of hell instead, is his goal. So yeah, he is a goofy character. He acts goofy, but I think he's actually going to be more of a serious character. And it seems like, because I've watched Fairy Tail, and then I read Eden Zero, and now I'm reading Dead Rock. I've read some of Eden Zero, And his stories kind of just seem to be getting darker, which, because like Fairy Tail is kind of pretty lighthearted for the most part, with some things in that, and then Eden Zero, you had the whole like there's like a very abusive, like with the hermit backstory, yeesh. And then in this one, we don't get much backstory because it's only the first volume, but we see like a small flashback in this, and I'll talk about that later when I talk about some of the characters. So yeah, and then we have, let's see. So yeah, and that's pretty much the main premise of this story so far, from what we have seen. So his actual class, like, he actually gets put into one of the smaller classes. Like, I think normal classes are a lot bigger, and then he gets put into a very small class, and he ropes in everybody in his class too, in his mission. So yeah, I'll jump into the characters now. I'm only really going to talk about 3, because I think Yakuto is who we saw the most of in this, and then there's a few other I think characters that are. There's another character named Hani that we saw, or Hani, I don't know how you pronounce it, that we saw a little bit of, but not much. We haven't seen much of his classmates' abilities and stuff yet, so that will be in future volumes, I'm sure. So, I mean, in the first chapter, it's mainly just the introduction. Like, they have to go through, like, a trial, basically, to get into the school. And so we are first actually introduced to Yakuto whenever Annie crushes him under his foot. So, so little information: his powers are called roots in this series. So Hanny's root is like, it's called Thor, God of Thunder, I think, and basically I'm not sure what it really does, because I mean, he has a giant hammer that he uses to fight with, but he also can shrink and grow in size. Also, it's important to note that this guy is literally made out of like hardened clay, so he's like a like doll, basically. So yeah, that's how we were first introduced to Hani and Yakuto, because he does not die, believe it or not, but he lives. And then they're then like dropped into this like anthill where they have to fight giant ants and live, basically, which they do. So yeah, so Yakuto, I will talk about. We see a little bit of a flashback for him. And in that flashback, we see kind of like him pretty messed up, and then like kind of various destroyed like buildings behind him and stuff, where we are presumed is the destruction of his like of the dragon root like clan or whatever they are, because I don't think we have a name for them yet, but the dragon root. He has a dragon root which allows him to morph any part of his body into the form of a dragon, or a dragon's, like if he morphs his arm, it'll become a dragon's arm and stuff like that, which actually, I'm sure if you've watched Fairy Tail, you can see, which this is actually something I like about Hiro Mashima as well, is that he kind of reuses designs in some of his works. So like, as you can see, like if you've seen Fairy Tail, you can recognize that Yakuto's dragon form actually looks a lot like Acnologia from Fairy Tail, which is pretty cool. So So yeah, I think, yeah, that's pretty much all for Yakuto. And I think I pretty much covered Hanny as well, except Hanny also likes to ask people if they're stupid. So he's kind of, right now, more of a comic-y relief character, I think. We'll see if that changes in later volumes. And then we get to probably the most important character in this, as that's on Yakuto's class teammates that he enlisted because he's definitely going to force them into doing this. Oh, I did want to mention that for Yakuto, we also see in the third chapter, by the end of the chapter, we are introduced to another female character that seems to know a lot about, or it seems to know about a kind of like a ailment that Yakuto has, seemingly because of his dragon root, I think. I don't know what her name is yet. We'll see if she's probably in the second volume, and I've not read the second volume. So I don't know what her name is. But yeah, so he's on a time limit, basically, to get this stuff done. So yeah, back to Makoto. She is a necromancer, so that's why she's very important, because in like literally I think the second chapter of volume 1, one of his classmates named Ryzen gets like not cut in half, he gets like literally chopped to pieces by by I think like the head chef of the school. So she's able to bring him back to life. And I think this series will be probably pretty violent, and other classmates might die. So gonna have to be brought back to life. And I can see there being a story arc where she gets like captured or something, so like they can't bring back their, like one of their characters actually dies and they can't bring them back until they get her back. Or if she gets like killed, then they're one and done, basically. Like they only have one chance now. So she's going to be a very important asset to this team here. Although I think one downside is I'm not sure how the dead classmates are going to be able to grow in their like strength and whatnot, because like they only just joined the school, so they're obviously not going to be the strongest in the school, I would imagine. So I'm not exactly sure how the dead will grow stronger, because obviously if you're dead you can't build muscle, because your muscles are actually deteriorating. So you can't build muscle, you can't get stronger that way. So you can't get physically stronger. It would have to it would depend on how roots work and stuff like that to actually, like, for them to get stronger. But the guy that died is a swordsman, so he would have to get like physically stronger. So I don't know how that's gonna work for him. I think that's really all I wanted to cover. I mean, we see how much of a bad person God is in this volume as well, because we see him, like, this town is praying for water because like they're in a drought or whatever, and he literally shows up. He's like, I am God and I'm here to answer your prayers, and then just like summons down these like pillars of water that destroy all their houses and kill them. So not a good dude, pretty much. I think that there were he also implies that there are other gods, because he's like, you prayed to this god. Yeah, I killed him a while ago. So I'm assuming he killed all the gods, or like strong demons, basically. I don't know if he's like an actual god or whatnot, or if he's just like a really strong demon. because like what I think right now is what I'm theorizing is that the last Demon King was a part of the Dragon Roots, but then was killed by God, and then he took up the spot of the Demon King, but called himself God. Is kind of what I'm thinking right now. So yeah, but that's it for this one. I mean, I look forward to checking out more of these volumes as the story progresses. And I mean, if you haven't checked out any of his works, then like either go watch Fairy Tail, and I think there's a season of Eden Zero on Netflix. I would implore you more to read the mangas, because those are like many forms of media. The books tend to be better. Because I've watched the first season, like I think like half the first season of Eden Zero, and I like reading it more than watching it. So I would implore you to read instead of watch. But if you want to watch, then watch those shows. Or better yet, this is a new series. Go by Dead Rock. Check it out. So yeah, that's it for this one.